Giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings unto the 144,000, as well as the rest of the elect. This is Brother Taza Pie here with your daily lunch special, and today we're going to be serving up some third woe, all right? Because while the U.S. government here has its citizens in the Charlie Kirk trick bag, we may be in the third woe, all right? We just might be at the third world conflict. That's what the third woe means, all right? So when we look here, Revelation chapter 11, verse 14, it says, the second woe is past. Behold, the third woe cometh quickly. All right, so the second woe is in reference to the Second World War. All right, and it has passed, as well as the First World War has passed. All right, and now we're quickly approaching this third woe. All right, this Third World War. All right, because some events took place over the past week or so to where, and I'm going to play a video that backs it up, but I wanted to speak on this last Thursday on the Thursday Watch, but I wanted to be able to verify the information. All right, so over the weekend, that's what I did, just research and verify certain information. And so we see that Russia had been blamed like a week or so ago for a drone attack in Poland, all right, which prompted Poland to put troops on the border of Belarus in preparation for escalation, all right, Russian escalation. And now, as I was explaining to the priest Karabah that hosts the Thursday Watch, I told him that it doesn't make sense, because the whole time of this Ukraine thing, the Ukraine situation was about NATO expansion, and Russia not wanting NATO expansion into Ukraine. So why would Russia send drones into Poland, which would give NATO every excuse that they've been wanting to go at Russia? All right, it has all the earmarks of a false flag. Let's see. I guess we can go to the video. I'm going to play this. Well, I'm going to read this first. And this is Jeremiah chapter 49 and verse 20. We bring this out a lot, but it's because we are in this time, or these times. All right, we are in the times of all things being fulfilled. This is why Habakkuk in the 2nd chapter explained that in the end it would speak, meaning what? The prophecies. We can go to that. All right. So we'll start at the top. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision, all right, these prophecies, all right, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. All right, but these are those appointed times. These last days, the days that we are living in, we are in those appointed times. So what does it say? For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. All right, so the point being is, in these times was when we will see all of these prophecies coming to fruition. All right. So when it says that the vision would be speaking, it just means that the vision or these prophecies would be coming to pass. And so this is what we're seeing, all right? Because not only did you have this escalation over in Poland, Ukraine and Poland, which that's the U.S., all right? But going back to Jeremiah 49:20, let's go into this. It says, therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai that he had taken against Edom, and his purposes that he had purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. All right? And so, the least of the flock is speaking about the Amalekites, and that's a tribe of Edom. The Edomites are the so-called white people, all right, predominantly, but they don't necessarily have to be white. But it's those who carry the spirit, the seed and the spirit of the wicked. That wicked one, Cain, all right, who was reincarnated as Esau. And Esau is the father and the progenitor of the Edomites, all right? Esau didn't have any pigment. He was what we know today as a white man, but they said Aisha. That's what Esau means. Aishashua, wasted away, all right, is he. They didn't call him white. They said, oh, look, we blessed with a white baby. They said, no, Aisha. You know, they was like startled. And oh, shit, he wasted away. He was born like he was dead. They probably thought he was dead when they saw him. So he's a pale, translucent devil. But he was alive, and we had to suffer all this bullshit, you know, and be subject to this devil. All right. But anyway, the Amalekites are the so-called Jewish. All right. And they are involved in the Ukraine incident, but technically, right, it's the Russians and the Ukrainians, or the Ukrainians, which the Ukrainians are Edomites, and some of them are Teman, you know, but those who run, that's old, Ukraine is old Kazakhstan. I believe it's Khazarian. That's old Khazarian, where the Khazars came out of. All right, so you do have the Temanites, well, I mean the Amalekites in Ukraine, all right? But the reason I'm bringing this out is because that the Amalekites, all right, the so-called Israelis, the so-called Jewish, they've been on a terror campaign throughout the Middle East, all right, which is stirring up, you know, bringing things to a head in the Middle East. At the same time, things are coming to a head in the Far East with Russia and Ukraine. And this is all by the small hats. All right? The least of the flock, which is Amalek. All right? So this past week, the United States, Trump, and Israel, it was in tandem, the U.S. and the Israelis, all right, the IDF, whatever, they called for a ceasefire, and they want to have some negotiations for peace talks, all right, and as well as, I guess, to negotiate a deal for the release of the hostages. And what happened? The U.S. and the IDF, or Israel, in tandem, bombed the peace talks and killed some top-ranking Hamas leaders, all right? And this is turning out to be a pattern with the U.S., with, at least in the Trump administration. And the scripture speaks about that you cannot trust this man. You know, he's a covenant breaker. So when you go to discuss peace with this man, his whole thoughts is to bomb you to hell. All right? And the scriptures tell you that about him. Let's look at the book of Psalms. Okay, that's cool, but let's get the meat of it. All right. So this is Psalm 55, verse 20. It says, he, being Esau, Edom, had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant. All right, so when you say, come on, y'all, let's talk about peace, all right, it's not technically a covenant, but if you was to accept that, you're accepting on good faith, all right? Now, you know, you calling a man to talk about peace, you really leave him no choice, because then if he don't come, you're gonna say, see, we call for peace. They don't want to work. They don't want to work with us for peace. You see, we tried, but then when they do participate, you bomb them, just like you did with Iran. They did the same modus operandi with Iran. All right, and then they did a little coward pager strike, which was cowardice on behalf of the Israelis. You know, the world is watching. The world is watching. And here these people are trying to justify a war, and you can't even fight fair in. You got all the upper hand. You got all the top weapons. You got all the top military, all the top intel, and yet you reduce yourself to these little bullshit guerrilla warfare type tactics. Instead of meeting a man on the battlefield, declaring war and going at it. You see, this is the era of the punk ass. All right? And I'm talking about these Edomites. And they got everybody running around the world like they tough. And half of you motherfuckers gonna fold. The scriptures tell us that. When the real nitty gritty kick in, all you tough guys out here in America gonna fold like bitches. Because y'all in the same spirit. This talk tough, but you a punk ass. That's the spirit of your leaders. All right? Y'all in the vibration of America. The apostles told you years ago, get your ass out of the West and get back to the East, meaning your mindset. The scriptures told you, come out of her. All right, but people still want to stay locked into this shit. They want to give their energy to it. They want to help America succeed. And at the same time, they're pushing this third woe. War has been waged on us here at home. All right? So they have most of the Babylonians here in America distracted with your own bullshit, you know, or either you just don't care to know. You have a lot of people that just don't care because they're so used to being insulated from the bullshit. In other words, people think, oh, it ain't gonna affect me. Yeah, that's over there, but I'm good right here. They don't watch the news because that's over there. That ain't affecting them here. But then you want to cry about inflation. These things don't come out the sky. Or it's just somebody pulling it out their ass and giving it to you. But people don't care to know. They just don't care to know. Now I'm going to go here right quick to show you this, all right? And this is the beast, all right, versus Russia. And he's even going to mention it in the, well, not that, but you listen, check it out.
Hybrid warfare is upon us because Russian Shahed attack drones just penetrated deep into Polish territory, forcing NATO to scramble fighter jets in an attempt to shoot them down. What all this means, to put it into perspective, is this is the first time in history that NATO forces have directly engaged the Russian military.
That's noteworthy, all right, because that is. All right, that's why we make note of the first time NATO went into action, and that was Kosovo, and they bombed the hell out of that place. They made fire come down from earth on heaven in the sight of men because it was televised. That UN campaign of Kosovo, I remember seeing it on TV. All right? But they've never been engaged. NATO was, you know, created to oppose the Soviet Union so that these Edomites could have a Cold War. All right? Then the Soviet Union was dissolved, whatever was 99, I want to say 99. I think it was 1990. That's it, Slovakia. Yeah, 1990, 89 into 90, the Soviet Union was dissolved, all right? But you had NATO stay, you know, as an organization. And so you had NATO, and they were steadily, you know, getting closer and closer, absorbing more countries, getting closer to the Russian border, all right, till we come to now, and this is what we see with Russia, all right? A lot of people in America don't even understand what Russia is fighting against is NATO expansion. Putin didn't start that campaign. All right? It wasn't Putin saying, oh, we need to colonize Ukraine. But once Ukraine started it, of course, now they're going to colonize. They're going to bring it back to the Soviet Union like they supposed to. They didn't start it, but now they hell-bent on finishing it, as they should. You don't go to war and then have people to attack you and then you just, you know, you fight for a little while and say, okay, that's enough. No, you're going to make sure it's never done again. You're going to take over that land. And that's how it goes. So he was absolutely right. This is a first, and is worth noting.
Raising fears of hybrid warfare is upon us because Russian Shahed attack drones just penetrated deep into Polish territory, forcing NATO to scramble fighter jets in an attempt to shoot them down. What all this means, to put it into perspective, is this is the first time in history that NATO forces have directly engaged the Russian military, raising fears that the war could spill over. So is it finally time to sound the alarmist alarm, or is this all just one great big misunderstanding, guys? Poland's prime minister said, "This situation brings us closest we've ever been to open conflict since World War II, and that they're facing an enemy that doesn't hide."
Behold, the second woe is past, and the third woe coming quickly. Now it's talks of a third woe. All right? Now there's talking about it was always taboo. And it was like, shh, don't talk about it. It might, like Freddy Krueger. Don't say that, don't say that. Now they're saying the quiet part out loud because this is just how much of a reality, all right, how much of a reality it is right now. That the world is going into a third woe. This was prophesied. It was going to happen. It's going to happen. But now the world can see. That wants to see. So you still can deny it. Of course, you can deny it. But if you in the spirit of great millstone, you're going to hasten the day. A little something like this, you're going to push it. No, it's the third woe. It's the third woe. It ain't no dying down. And really it ain't. We're at the part where it ain't no turning back. You heard the point of no return? That's what the world is. The whole world is at a point of no return. Certain doom, destruction, and devastation is coming to the entire world. There's no turning it around, no cooling things off. It's on. All right? Flat out on.
And its hostile intentions. Meanwhile, the Russian Defense Ministry hid their hostile intentions by denying any involvement, saying, quote, "No targets on the territory of Poland were planned for destruction." Today, I want to know what's the...
Right, that would not even benefit Russia. Why would Russia, knowing that NATO been itching for a reason to get at Russia, why would Russia just willingly, just openly give them the reason, the excuse that they've been wanting? Putin is too wise for that. Right now they both trying to play this game of not it. No, I didn't start it. No, I didn't start it. No, not me. Not it. Not it, but we know. This was all instigated by the U.S. and NATO, which is one half of the beast. All right, NATO and the EU is the beast. The U.S. is just the whore that sitteth on the beast. All right? But that's all I got time for. But just so you can understand, we are quickly approaching the third world conflict. All right? They want to distract you with the Mr. Kirks and the whatever else they got, the federalization of these cities, just to give you something to talk about so that they can have all of these rabbit holes for you to get sucked into instead of, seeing that the U.S. is rogue. We are under a rogue government in this Trump administration. It's wild. They bombing peace talks. Look like they doing false flags to blame Russia for shit. And all this time, these countries are looking at America with a side eye and getting more pissed off by the day. And people are over here clueless. A lot of these people are in our borders. You got Middle Easterners within our borders pissed off. You got Chinese within our borders. They don't like y'all. They ready to go. Trying to put it in perspective. Y'all talking all that dumb shit. Y'all don't know what's about to come out. You know, Chicago, oh, they ain't gonna, I got this switch. They ain't gonna do a damn thing. We ain't LA and Chicago. We ain't DC and Chicago. All right. That's the type of talk they like. All right? Because y'all don't even understand, but the UN is over here. Well, I mean, yeah, you got the UN, but you also got the People's Army of China. You got them motherfuckers over here. They'll snuff you niggas out, y'all never see it coming. Y'all disorganized. Y'all don't know how to shoot. And I hate to sound like Esau, but it's true. Y'all have no organization. And, you know, y'all couldn't even put together a decent guerrilla strike. All right? An urban guerrilla strike. Y'all couldn't even do that. So, yeah, please understand, this is the Most High's judgment. He's using, you know, the federalization, the Trump administration and all of this. The Most High is using this to take you niggas out. All right? So, I mean, it is what it is. It's war around the world. All right? Please don't get it misunderstood. We're at war here in America. The Trump administration has waged war on its citizens. The Trump administration is waging war on Ukraine. The Trump administration is waging war in tandem with the Israelis to bring an upheaval to all of the Middle East. And all of these things spell third woe. So I'm going to leave it right there. I hope that y'all were edified. All right, to the next one. Shalom.